Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again to our last visit here in Chicago, Wicker Park at the Coach House. I wanted to give you a look at the garage door and the work that's being done on the back. We've got a lot to show you today, all the finished work inside and outside, the landscaping. We'll be getting together with Rita Miller and Bill Waggoner, a husband and wife team who have a little painting school here in Chicago, and they've done wonders for us inside with gilding and faux finishes and all sorts of exciting stuff. So stick around, it's good to have you home again.
Sears presents Home Again with Bob Vila.
You know, I'm not a big fan of painting over masonry surfaces, but our back facade here on the Coach House was really a mess, and painting's the best thing to do to it. We had traces of old paint, that pink that you see up there, as well as patches that didn't quite match the old brick because we couldn't get enough brick. So the best thing to do is to use a masonry paint, which will allow the surface to breathe, and, you know, it can be renewed quite easily in a few years if it has to be. The best thing to do with masonry, though, is to leave it alone. And on the side of the house, we have the old golden Chicago brick. We did a nice patch here where there used to be a door into the house. This is the garage, and we wanted to have it secure. We've got another patch here where there was a window. And most of this golden brick could have been cleaned, but, you know, why go to the expense? The main thing is it's in good condition and didn't need repointing. Not so the windows that were here. We've put in brand new windows on the side for our bedroom that's there. And then up on the front of the house, we've, you know, spent a little bit more time and thinking in terms of a color scheme. We chose to go with this sandstone color. It's kind of a buff because it is, of course, reminiscent of a masonry effect. And we've patched the old brick as best as we could. The green, which is kind of a hunter green or a forest green, I think is a very, very good combination to use with buff. It's one of my favorite color combinations, and the white vinyl windows kind of set everything off. It's kind of a crisp look, and this, of course, looks very nicely done in the green as well. Now, the landscape is pretty limited when you're just talking about an area that's basically 10 feet by about 25. And remember, you're not getting a lot of sun here because you've got the two buildings so close together, and the building over here is a tall one. So what we did was we minimized the amount of actual planting that was going to take place, and we chose a redbud tree, which is right now just about 8 feet high and getting ready to bloom pretty soon. But the redbud can stand the cold, cold Chicago winters and will grow to be about 30 feet high, which will be a beautiful feature to have in this little urban yard. And we gave it a little Pachysandra ground cover, just about a 4-foot square area, so that you'd have a perennial green spot to look at. But the rest of the area has been done very simply with very inexpensive materials. These are just cement pavers. They probably cost about $12 a piece. And then, of course, we've laid them in a path so that they both relate to the back entrance to the two-flat as well as to the little coach house. The other material, which I like a lot, is this river stone, which is crunchy underfoot. Again, it has that tawny color which blends in well with the earth tones of the house, and it's absolutely no maintenance. Rainwater will percolate easily through here, and the idea is that you can bring out a couple of chairs and a table in nice weather and have lunch out here and put them back away when you're done. Or you can fill the area with flowering, you know, annuals and stuff. And we brought the pavers along over to this corner and, you know, created a new kind of grand entrance for the little coach house. It's always fun to look at the album when you're getting close to finishing a project like this and look at what it once was like. This was really something else. It hadn't been lived in 10 years. It really had terrible front steps that were rotting away. The front doors were double wooden doors that were padlocked and in bad shape. And of course, the main problem the house had was that someone had painted it with brown enamel years ago, so that you had hunks of brown paint just peeling off of it. Remember? It's hard to forget. Whoa!
The whole front would need tuck pointing.
They must have had a leak at one time, and I think that they just came down here.
Obviously, this is not a union job. Says it all, kind of 1950-something in there.
Yeah, but no Chicago Bears on there.
No Chicago Bears. Oh, yeah, to the attic. Found a bird cage. I don't think you'd get any respectable bird to live in it.
This here's a paper we found underneath the kitchen sink.
The Daily Skoda. This is April 1930.
I think you'll be happy with what we got going on.
Oh boy, that demolition guy wasn't kidding, was he?
Nice surprise, huh?
We've gutted the whole thing down, haven't we? Nothing left but the bare brick walls. Let's see. That's pretty sturdy. Well, it goes to show that you can do a lot to an old Victorian house like this if you find the right craftsman, and we've been very lucky here in Chicago. Everyone from the iron workers to the painters, not to mention the carpenters. And you can take some liberties with a Victorian. We have done this color scheme, but we've also kind of gotten rid of the old feeling of the Victorian doors and put in a very contemporary glass door setup. Let's go through these doors. We'll find Bill Waggoner and Rita Miller, a team that's done marvels inside. We'll start off with our tour upstairs. But first, we'll have to break for these messages. Okay, let's begin our tour upstairs, which is now a master bedroom that was once a very dusty and dingy attic. We start off here, where we kind of left an open loft area, big enough to have a chaise longue or just maybe a hope chest or a trunk. And then we put in double doors into the bedroom itself. We have a fine bath, 2 large closets. These are about 6 or 7 feet square. This one has an added touch, a safe. About a $200 item, maybe $300, but a good idea. And then out here, let's meet Rita Miller. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Bob.
I love what you and Bill have done in the house.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's really terrific. This is still painted white, but everything else really sparkles. This is a nice touch. This is our bedroom wall. Our bed wall, rather. Instead of a bedstead, you can put the mattress right up against this wall. We doubled the wall, capped it, left about a 1/4 inch reveal, and what do you think?
Well, I think it's a perfect place for a bed, 2 side pieces, and perhaps some artwork books up on the ledge.
And you'd be looking at the artwork that you and Bill kind of did the other day for us. What do you call this kind of painting?
Well, this is based on a traditional method called a strié, but we call it a curly strié. It's an abstract finish, more appropriate for today's living.
And it has, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of blonde wood up to a point. Mm-hmm. But you've contrasted it neatly with that's a turquoise, really, right?
Right. We use the same color palette throughout, but in different shades of intensity. Up here, we wanted to keep it very light because it was a bedroom, and also it's very private.
Yeah.
Cozy.
Well, it looks neat, and what's really neat is how they achieve this finish. We were here with the camera about a week ago, so we saw Bill and Rita applying it. Take a look. You two really work wonders, don't you, with paint? I hate to interrupt you, but it just is really a neat effect that you can create like that.
Well, thanks, Bob.
But what we want to know is what you use and how you do it. So I don't know which to ask first, but what kind of a paint material do you have to use to get this effect?
Well, we're using a combination of latex paint, flat latex paint, and a latex varnish called a latex urethane, and a paint conditioner, which allows the latex paint a little bit more drying time.
So, and this is what you're pouring into the pan over here, Rita?
Right.
So that's that mixture. Yeah, it looks like plain paint to me, but what is it that the conditioner does?
The conditioner will give it a little bit of a longer working time. It's an extender,
Yeah.
and traditionally we would use these techniques with the oil-based glaze, but the latex actually will dry and allow us to do an overglaze within a short amount of time.
Right. Now, why are you using a brush down there, Bill?
Well, the sponge won't go all the way into the baseboard, and so I need some other tool that will allow me to cut into the baseboard and continue the pattern all the way down.
And of course, you got masking tape there so that
Right.
you'll have a fine line. What would you call this?
Well, we call it a curly strié.
A curly strié.
Right. And traditionally, the old-time painters would have used a strié either with a comb or with a sponge, but with a vertical motion straight down.
So a strié is when you've got the paint wet on the wall and you kind of use a comb or something to create these vertical lines.
Right.
Okay.
In this case, it's more abstract.
More of a hip variation, yeah.
Right. More today.
But what is it that you're doing to make one part of it heavier than the other?
I'm using a great deal of pressure with my fingers through the sponge. So I'm getting an irregular pattern.
Hey, I want to try it. Should I wear gloves also?
Yes, you certainly should.
Here, Bob.
It's latex paint. Why
Try
do you
these.
need gloves?
The latex urethane that we've added, the varnish that we talked about,
Yeah.
there's something in it that makes it incredibly strong, and it will bond to the fingernails,
Really?
making it pretty difficult to get it off.
Okay, now if I ruin it, you've put the extender in the paint so we can fix it, right?
Sure.
I mean, you can go over. If you do something that you don't like, you can go right over it.
Well,
How?
we need to wash it down.
So there's not too much paint on here.
Right.
And where were you applying pressure in order to get the...
Well, I try and vary it from,
How do you hold
from
it,
row
like
to
that?
row. I put my fingers right into the sponge. We just
Yeah.
open up the back of the sponge a little bit and actually just grab like this. And there will be some paint dripping, but hopefully if the floor is covered, that doesn't create a problem. And then you just do a zigzag motion. The trickiest part of this is keeping an even pressure all the way through. Now, if you're running out of paint, you can squeeze a little bit harder, and the paint will start to flow again.
Getting it a little bit too wavy, don't you think?
It looks kind
It's
of
very
good.
expressive.
Well, okay, I'm going to let you go back to it, because otherwise you're going to really be able to tell somebody else stepped in there.
Well, in a case like this, sometimes you can cut in with a brush and add, if there's an area that needs a little bit more color, you can cut in with a brush.
Oh, good for you.
And create a wavy line that way.
That's right. Go ahead, Bill. Fix it.
It's a technique that takes a little bit of doing.
It takes a little bit of practice,
A
yeah.
little bit of practice.
And once you're doing it, you kind of get hypnotized by it. So I'm going to let you just go ahead and continue on that wall.
I load up almost for every panel so that I don't run out of paint halfway through. And there is a tendency to offload too much at the start, so we want to make sure that we don't get any drips later on, and just go back in with a brush if something starts to drip and work the drips out. But with this pattern, because it is a more abstract contemporary finish, we're not trying to repeat the same wave pattern all the way through. Each panel can be individual, and they just sort of run into each other as they overlap. Now, one of the advantages to this is that it's, you can stop and start at almost any point. Whereas with traditional oil-based glazing, once you start a wall, you pretty much want to finish it or you're going to get overlap marks.
So the first step is done. What is the second step, Rita?
The second step is to add an overglaze on top of the original curly strié.
An overglaze. Just what is this stuff? It looks very pearly.
It's actually, you're right. It's a pearlescent quality. We used artist acrylic paint that has mica particles in it.
Really?
And also have used some latex urethane for strength and durability.
So what is it that it does once you put it on over the curly strié here?
We're using it as a toner. It will sort of refine the finish and give it a soft, lustrous final finish. I've loaded my sponge very heavily, and then I'm just going to use a pull. Unlike the hand motion that Bill used in that curly motion, I want to get a nice, smooth over finish.
So this step gives it a certain depth and luster.
Right.
Nice job, guys.
Thanks.
Well, another beautiful feature in the master bedroom that the architect gave us is this pair of double doors, pocket doors, and a nice loft feeling. There's Bill putting some finishing touches down in the living room. We'll go down and take a close look at what you've done in a minute after these messages. And our kitchen is a very contemporary and urban sort of space, but that's a nice touch, these antique tiles.
Well, actually, we were inspired, Bob, by these tiles you found out in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, we dug these up when we were getting ready to put down the paving stones out there. I guess they are maybe old chimney surrounds, right? Mm-hmm. Very pretty, but that's the only antique in here. We have very state-of-the-art appliances, a downdraft electric range, which means we don't need to have a hood over it so that the space is not cluttered at all. And then I see over here you've furnished A little bit of interesting painting, huh?
Right, this is a very inexpensive stool that had the original oak, but we just put a light stain on it.
Pretty. And then, of course, the floor has come out beautifully. Our end grain cobblewood floor is something I really enjoyed putting in. And what have you
That's
done
lovely.
here? This is nothing more than a PVC plumbing pipe that we used as a support for the countertop.
Well, we wanted to disguise that, so we painted it black and then just used a simple sponging technique right over it, and it sort of gives an appearance of granite.
It does look like granite. Very nicely done. And then over here we have some beautiful marbleizing.
Well, we often use marbling as a organizing device. In this case, we use a serpentine marble and a rojo alicante, and we used it to create the illusion of a column. Use the rojo alicante as a beam.
Yeah.
And then meets and joins up with the real structural column here.
Right. Beautiful job, Bill. How did you do all this green painting?
Well, the drywall was primed for us, and then we sponged on this emerald green color that comes through. And then on top of the sponging, we used a black glaze, rolled on a black glaze, and then crushed lightweight plastic drop cloths into it. On top of that, we did some traditional feather veining with white oil-based paint. And over all that, we used a blackish green overglaze, a very sheer coating.
So it takes a long time to do this, doesn't it?
Yes, it takes several layers.
So several days.
We worked rather quickly and got it done in about 3 days.
Wonderful.
And while it may take a long time, sometimes it takes a very short time to learn it. Our beginning students learn those types of finishes within the first week.
Marvelous.
This finish, however, is a leaf finish, and it takes a little bit longer. It's a copper leaf finish.
So you actually put leaves of metal on top of the wood?
Right. This is an old gun case, and we've taken actual sheets of metal, very, very lightweight. You can
Thin copper
thin
sheets.
and
Decor.
we've taken adhesive and
Yeah.
apply that, and then acid wash it and make it look like it has a wonderful patina.
It's a great effect. But what's the thinking here in terms of your design concept?
Well, I think we were inspired by the fact that you took this old coach house and gave it new life. And the same thing with us. We took a lot of old pieces of furniture and we gave them new life with new coats of paint, stenciling, or leafing, as you saw earlier.
Flea market finds?
Flea markets, antiques, and wherever else we could find things.
This was a rusty old iron bed, and we've painted it with these turquoise colors to make it look like antique copper.
It's beautiful.
And we've cut the legs down here to bring it down lower because these windows were lower, and we're using it as a sofa here.
And what about this carpet or
This
canvas,
is actually a piece of canvas that we've painted as well. It's reminiscent of the colonists who brought over painted floor cloths.
Sure. In colonial America, they didn't have carpets, so they painted their cloths.
It's a wonderful project that you can work with your children with.
Absolutely. And then you've done the same kind of effect on our chimney here.
Right. The fireplace was a drywall box around the fireplace, and we used the Verde marble again. And then this was a galvanized metal stovepipe that we've used that antique copper finish again.
And it really soars right up to our cathedral ceiling with our skylights and the fan. And of course, the effect of the bedroom loft with its own railing up there. I think the architects did a really nice job. One thing I was concerned about was that they weren't making a large enough dining area, and in fact, they were right. You've put in a very large table, haven't you?
Right. This is a 5-foot in diameter round, and it works beautifully in here. We've silver leafed it and acid washed it, similar to the technique in the gun case.
Yeah, instead of copper, you used silver leafing.
Right, and we used a more artistic type of technique.
It is a beautiful technique. Thank you so much, Rita
Thank you.
and Bill.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Bob.
It's a beauty. We got to break for some commercials, and when we come back, we'll get together with Ron Gann, our contractor. We'll figure out how much this all costs, so stick around. Well, Ron, when we started out this project, we planned on doing it for $125,000. What's the final figure?
It's about 141.
So we didn't make it. We're over by $16,000. Can you explain that?
Sure. We spent about 11,000 in carpentry surprises, primarily in the structural area. We had to re-support the gable ends when we were working on the dormer. That took more time and more work than we thought. We ended up replacing all the floor joists here on the first floor. We had some other just rotten areas, some of the windows that just needed some reworking.
Yeah, when you're remodeling an old house, you're always prepared for surprises. What else drove the price
But we had
up?
some upgrades. We upgraded the heating system to a high efficiency plus 90 with the attached water heating system, which in the long run will be very beneficial. And we put that whirlpool in, which was a nice
Yes,
touch. So
okay.
we did some nice things here.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of all the work that was done. I think you've got some terrific craftsmen in Chicago, and I'm really happy with the end result. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. We've enjoyed working with you.
We're running out of time. It will be a wrap, and it's the last wrap in Chicago, but I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll have other stories coming your way. Until then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again.